All right, guys. Obviously got a big weekend here. Starting with a really good Iowa team. Got a lot of respect for them as a group. I think their numbers would suggest that they're a top 25 team in the country. Their metrics are really good, and for good reason. They're really gifted offensively. They're well coached. They play exceptionally hard. They obviously have an NBA lottery pick, and they've got some other guys that are really gifted and really talented and experienced. And the Murray brothers are tremendous players. I think both of them will definitely play in the NBA. Obviously, one is going to be headed there this year. So it's a gifted team, and going to be a great challenge for us. And we need a good day of prep here today. As far as updates on guys, we expect Michi to be able to play. Justice Suing continues to, do a few more things each and every day, but there's no new update on him.
You mentioned Keegan, and when you are going as a player like that, he's not the first NBA lottery pick you've played this year. Does that? I know they're different positions, different guys, but does the fact that you've played elite talent, individual talent like that, does that help at all when you in a game like this?
Yeah, I think it does. I think it does, and we're certainly aware of the kind of year that he's had, and. You follow the league very thoroughly, so you knew, from last year the talent that he was, and so did other coaches and people who followed the league. But to the kind of casual fan, they might be saying, "Where did this kid come from?" I think we all knew that he's a special talent. His dad, I believe, played in the NBA, and he's got great bloodlines, and he's as gifted. He's really as gifted as anybody we've played against all year. Any player we played against all year, he's right there. And this is as tough a home challenge as we've had all year. I really believe that. I think the way, obviously, they beat us here last year, but just the way they can come at you offensively, and then their defense is good because of their length.
And I think a lot of people would expect we're going to see the Keegan Murray, EJ Lidell showdown. And I know it's going to be a team effort. Kyle was talking about it's not just going to be EJ that would be matched up against him. But
right.
When EJ is going into a game where that's going to be some of the outside perspective, how do you think he approaches that? Is it any different for him?
I don't know. You'd have to ask him. I think certainly he's aware, but he knows they're a good team, and they can beat you. A number of guys, including his brother Chris, a number of guys can step up and get 20. Bohannon's done it for years. Fran's sons are terrific players. They're different in how they play, but they're terrific players in how they attack you. And his younger son just continues to get better and better, but both of them really impact winning. So they're a competitive group too. You obviously know they're coming off a loss. We're going to see their very best tomorrow for sure.
Coach, defensively, you guys have really been, improved the last couple of games, and I know that was a point of emphasis for you guys. I know you said that you had shown clips of a few of the previous, defenses you had that were really good. What specifically about maybe those teams or what they were doing has been able to kind of inspire the group in the last couple of games here?
I'm not sure. It was only just a point of reference to show that, hey, there were some things maybe that these groups did that allowed them to be a top 20 defense in the country. And we had, some of it was obviously personnel driven. There were some different personnel on our third team, the COVID year, and our first year's team, but they just had a real, I think, as much as anything you're stressing, the daily commitment. We had a little bit better length and size on the interior on both those teams, but I think as much as anything, you're trying to stress a couple points and the team connection as much as anything.
What do you feel like the team has done better, though, defensively in these last couple games?
I think it's a commitment and it's a buy-in, and we'll get tested. This is the best offense we've played, so at least certainly at home. So this is, I mean, you look at their numbers. Offensively, they're the best offensive team we've played at home, and I'm not sure how close it is. Maybe Duke's close, but it's going to get really tested tomorrow. But I think as much as anything, a commitment from your best players, that's where it's got to come from, a commitment from our best players.
With guys like Kyle being able to come back, Joey being a sixth year, and I asked both of them about this, but the relationships between guys that old and some of your freshmen, how have you seen those guys kind of gel together? Because that is a pretty big age gap from guys that were just in high school to guys that have been out for 4 or 5 years. Yeah,
I mean they're all really good kids, so they're they may not and it is a separation in age and a separation in terms of kind of where their lives are headed. But I think both those guys and all of our older guys, for that matter, kind of enjoy building relationships with young guys, and they see kind of where they were themselves starting college and kind of the wide-eyed look. And I think they've taken, Kalen and Michi and Malachi and some of those young guys and Zed and Gene and kind of taken them under their wings a little bit, which has been good to see.
And you've said a couple times about Iowa being the biggest home challenge. You mentioned Duke.
Yeah.
Why is this, in your eyes, a more difficult challenge than Duke specifically, but you've played a lot of good teams here?
Yeah, I mean, Wisconsin certainly was a challenge as well. I just think Iowa's ability to score the ball, we've had plenty of challenges, and I'm no disrespect to any other team. I think the way that this is as great as any home game we've had in terms of the challenging and what they provide. It's certainly as great as any of those teams. I just think you look at the quality of their team, the fact that they do have NBA talent, and they have the ability to get, to score in bunches, and I think their length defensively can cause problems.
We asked you this before you guys were supposed to play Iowa last time, but I mean, what role does tempo with Iowa play into this, like preparing for one of the quicker and faster paced teams that you've seen as of late?
Yeah, no, I think as much as anything, we don't talk about tempo as much we don't ever really talk about tempo. We want to play fast and downhill in the first, 8 to 10 seconds of the clock if we can. That doesn't change based on who we're playing. And we want to play with pace in the half court. So they're a really good half court team too, offensively. They're good, really good in transition, but they're good in the half court too. They move you and space you, and they run great motion offense, which is a little bit different than what a lot of teams run.
I guess especially with 2 games in 3 days. I mean, how are you? Obviously, you're focused on Iowa now, but how do you ensure that your players are kind of ready for kind of just the physicality of and just prepared for 2 games in 3 days, especially?
Yeah, we've looked at it in practice a little bit. I don't know that there's anything specifically that you can do other than you understand that we've all been part of these tournament settings before, where you're playing 3 games in 2 days, and you kind of look at it that way. And we've adjusted some things with practice time. And knowing we're going to need to do that. I think more than anything, you look at the quality of opponents we're playing, and it's exciting, but it's two tremendous challenges here. I think they're two NCAA tournament teams, and they're 2 teams that I think have the chance to finish in the upper half of our league.
I was looking at Iowa's defensive numbers. They lead the Big Ten in turnover percentage.
Yeah.
They're 82nd in the country in turnover percentage, which surprised me. I feel like the Big Ten normally there's more. I don't know. Does it maybe just as a bigger picture thing? Does that surprise you as well? That as you've looked at the league this year, that the best team in the Big Ten at turning teams over would be 82nd nationally?
No, because we don't have a lot of teams in our league that are, when you think of them, they just absolutely turn you over. We have some really positionally sound teams and some teams that make it very difficult for you to score in the half court. But And some of our teams that typically turn you over, like a Purdue, doesn't turn you over as much this year. When I just look at them, and I think it makes sense. You got the length and the versatility that they have, and then they have some guards. Toussaint he's a bulldog. He comes after the ball. So they got some guys that really just come after your ball.
You had talked about some of the player-driven locker rooms, and Keita and Jay Sean especially in that first year. I was asking Kyle about that. He brought those guys up. I know JT's playing in the Rising Stars game tonight in the NBA, but when you think on that first year and what those guys did, when you talk about leaving a legacy, that those are kind of being held up as examples for these current guys. Can you reflect a little bit on what it did mean for you to have those two guys in that first year and how you're still feeling their impact here?
Oh, they mean so much to me and to our program. Jay Sean and Keita, and even C.J. Jackson, who was with us one more year, Cam, Andrew Dockage, who just came with us, but also gave us a great deal of leadership. But obviously people think of the two guys that are in the NBA now, but I think they mean so much to us because of they really did set a tremendous leadership example, and I think as much as anything, Kyle probably thinks of them because that's who he came. That was his first year was with them, and that's who he came in with. Bless you. And he so I'm sure he reflects on those guys because they were our best players, and they were also tremendous kids. I think I said that on a number of occasions that year that. They were our best players, but they were also, some of our, some of our best kids. So, to see their success is really exciting. And I had a chance to go out and see Keita last year and talk to the Spurs a little bit and talk to the general manager, and was excited that they were thinking about getting another contract for him. And I told him, I said, I don't think you can go wrong with him. He'll play whatever role you need it. And same thing with JT. You knew that when he was given an opportunity, and we know what happens a lot for guys like that. People question JT's ability to shoot, and that kind of kept him from the NBA. I think the fact that we played him at the one really did open some people's eyes that last year. But they're just such good people that you're super happy for them. It's okay.
Clearly, you're not prone to starting a guy who's coming off of an injury. You did it with Gene when Michi was out. But now to get Michi back, what does that do for your lineup? And how do you kind of balance, Gene's starting to get comfortable in a starting role.
Yeah.
Then he goes back, does he come back from off the bench, or how are you going to try to navigate that little piece?
Well, yeah, no, I think Michi's got to find his way. We've won a few games here, and I think he's got to continue to kind of find his way to impact the team, just like anybody does off of an injury. So, listen, you're not going to be able to play. We're not going to be able to play the same type of rotation that we played, as we go the back, this kind of back end of our schedule. I think the rotation at times is going to have to get a little bit tighter. Guys' minutes might suffer a little bit. I don't know who that's going to be right now because it's kind of a game-to-game situation. But I think there's always a little bit of fluidity and juggling that goes on. But we need everybody, and as I mentioned, whether it's Gene or Michi, we need those guys to be ready, but we need them to be ready when they're healthy enough to play, because both guys are going to be important for us.
You just talked about tightening the rotation a little bit, but I guess contrary to that, you're going to play, however many games in so many few days, and it's almost like an NBA schedule more than it is a conference tournament schedule. Is there a balance that you have to strike between, we have to tighten this up because we have to have the best players on the floor to win these games, and we need these guys fresh, so on March 7th after senior day, we're not burnt out and, go out.
There is a balance. There is a balance for sure. Yeah, I don't think our rotation can be too tight. There's a mental and physical fatigue that comes through this, and, as I mentioned, I think we was such a unique situation with staying in the same hotel last year, and but we saw that last year with the Big Ten tournament. But I think absolutely, I think there's I'm not saying we're going to go to a 6-man rotation. I'm just saying, there might be minutes that are shrunk a little bit as we continue to play.
If I can sneak one quick one in, I was listening to another coach talk this morning about he's not coaching the team that he expected to because of injuries. I feel like it got me thinking that you guys are kind of in the same boat.
Yeah.
Now that you're however many games into this season with it, do you give yourself time to think about how this is absolutely not the roster that you thought you'd be coaching at the beginning of the season, or do you kind of let that go until the end of March when you're done?
Yeah, I think I kind of let it go until the end of March because it's out of my control, and if you dwell on it too much, it maybe takes your attention off of the guys you do have and the guys you do have to coach and want to get better. We wouldn't be where we are without a number of guys who've now stepped into increased roles, maybe more increased roles than we anticipated. All right. I get that. In an ideal world, would I be playing, Malachi 32 minutes a night in Big Ten play? I've got to watch his kind of the freshman wall and his fatigue level. But there is an element of where we're at right now with some of our injuries, and then kind of not our season-ending injuries, but our injuries to two of our top 8 who haven't played much this year. So I just try not to. If you talk about it too much, people are, you're making excuses. I don't know what we're making excuses for. We've had some great wins. If you talk about it, I also don't want to ignore the fact that it's a reality, and I hate it for those kids, and I hate it for our team. But as much as anything, you focus on just the guy, really invest in the guys you have, and that they're capable as well. They're more than capable. We've had great minutes from guys who've had to step into kind of the role or similar roles that maybe a Justin or Justice and a Seth would. So thank God we've been able to have that depth.
Just not to make light of bad news, but I saw the fire yesterday at the Oakland Hills Country Club. And I wondered if you could relate at all what it was like for you to golf there in June of 2017.
Yeah,
especially the back 9.
Yeah, no, that was. I had not golfed there. Greg Campy does a great thing, a great fundraiser for cancer, and it's a really cool thing. You go there and you see some of the young people that are struggling, and it's a way to raise money, and people pay money to golf. And I think I had to replace Roy Williams in that event, and I apologize to Greg for his donors might not be as willing to play with me as they would Roy Williams, but it was a great time, and I met some people that I hadn't met, hadn't spent a whole lot of time with Greg. There were some other media people there, but that was certainly a good time. I feel bad for that club and what that club means to people. I've been a member of a country club before, although I don't really I'm not able to go much, but I know how important, having that kind of place is, and obviously that was a significant day because that was the day that Thad resigned, or around that time.
Smooth back 9 way.
No, I mean, it was certainly a lot of conversation that at the time I just kind of ignored, so didn't help my golf game though. All right.